Namaste and welcome to today's Love Satsang transmissions from the Golden Heart. A little bit belated because of internet disturbances here, but now we are in the space, and maybe that was actually also an introduction in our topic today, the void. The void between timelines, and sometimes something like if something is not working, it's a little bit like being in a void state of, I don't know actually why or what it is for, but let's see, let's trust what the higher purpose, the higher plan of this is. So, as usual, before we really dive deep into this topic, I would like to anchor us into this shared field, into the shared energy, and also a little bit tune our system, our body, our energy, our mind in the space of the void. And therefore, I would like to start with a little short guided meditation. So if you have the space, the time, then make yourself comfortable in a way that you can sit for a moment or even lie down if you feel better this way. Sitting is always good to have the spine straight and be connected above and below. And closing your eyes, arriving together in the space. Also, in a way, avoid space between what was and what is. So we can even say the now is always the void. If we are too much in thinking back and forth between past and future. Just with deep breathing, arriving in your body, the physical form, sensing how you are currently situated, maybe feeling the chair or floor or cushion when you're sitting underneath your bottom. Sending the space around you where you are currently in. And making yourself really this anchored soul inside the physical. And there are sometimes two ways of seeing it, either by tuning into what is around you, feeling the air on your skin, or maybe touching yourself to feel your body from outside. Or the other way around, from inside out, to feel inside of you the flow of prana, of life force energy, chi, blood circulating, air circulating, the organs, everything dense inside. And noticing that nothing is to be changed right now. Sometimes it's really just sitting in silence and in the now to change your perception of what is currently going on in your life. And from this state of really feeling yourself as a physical being, as a human, go one layer deeper by releasing the sense of physical body and focusing on your emotions, how you feel right now, what is alive inside of you, what circulates as emotions, as feelings. without judging, and that can also be very contradictory. Sometimes we have both sadness and joy inside of us, sometimes related to events we went through or situations that we are facing right now, or our body that are linked to emotions. As if you wanted to hold a torch, a spotlight onto these emotions and make them bigger, feeling them maybe more intensely for a moment. And then taking a deep breath in and out to release these emotions, let them go, going one layer deeper into the level of thoughts. So bringing your focus on the thoughts you are currently having in your system. Maybe thoughts of resistance, of ease, of overthinking, of analyzing yourself. Or maybe it's just a simple thought of I am here now. And usually thoughts are quite scattered, not always making a whole sentence, but more like fragments of consciousness wanting to be birthed into form. And when you let these thoughts go, flow, vanish, evaporate, and shift your focus on the next layer, your energy, your pure energy, after you've let go of the physical body, after you've let go of the emotional body and the mental body, there's the energy body. And that you can sense through vibration, the tingling in your skin, the rushing of energy inside of you, the flow of life force energy, of feeling alive. And maybe that's not that easy as focusing on your body, your emotions, or your thoughts, because a lot of people have disconnected from the energy body. Although it is, in my opinion, one of the greatest gifts in these times to rediscover our energy body and work with it, because it penetrates all other bodies. And then let also this idea go that you are energy, that you are energy that came into form, into emotions, into thoughts. Let that go, that idea that you are energy. And notice what you are then. After all labels and identifications have gone, what are you? We then arrive in the space of the void. That place where, depending on which perspective you take, you have nothing and you have everything. The paradox of life, that two seemingly opposites coexist at the same time. And the void therefore is for our human self oftentimes frightening. And at the same time, it triggers a curiosity. And so I invite you today to sit in both those emotions of or sensations of having a form of humbleness, but also a curiosity towards the void. And then take a deep breath into that. And travel backwards from the void into energy, into thought, into emotion, into your physical body. A journey backwards into form, from formless into form. Arriving back into our space, reminding yourself you are here now as a human being, a soul, making an experience here on this planet Earth. Remembering and rediscovering your true nature. That is what this journey is all about. Remembrance after the forgetting. And then give yourself small touches, maybe holding yourself, just to come back into your body, anchoring yourself. And then opening your eyes when you're ready. The void, the void, the void. I feel a lot of people are currently in the void, and this is directly, intrinsically interwoven into the topic we had last time in the Love Satsang, the tower moment, the breakdown, because usually the falling apart, the tower moment, especially the huge tower moments, are the portal, are the entry point into that space of the void. Kind of like the void is like the womb space of the universe, we can say. The womb where we as a baby were in our mother. And I would say maybe even didn't really think about what is the void. Yeah, why is it dark here? Or maybe even not knowing what is coming or being curious about being birthed. But when we are grown up, especially when we have journeyed through this beginning of the spiritual path, we are in a much more aware state of sovereignty, even of a developed ego. Like, this is me, this is my identity, and this is what I envisioned for myself, this is my dream, this is my whatever, the labels we give ourselves. And therefore, yeah, somehow perceive the void oftentimes as something threatening, something disorienting, something that we resist, want to change, want to accelerate because we want to get out of it. And therefore, it feels oftentimes very like feeling stuck, like I don't even know why it is here. I don't even know what I should do with it or how to come out of it, or all these questions that come up whilst being in that state. And first of all, we have to make peace with the fact. And I feel in the past, I mean, nowadays more and more talk about these topics, but in the past, this idea of the spiritual path is oftentimes glorified or put only in the light side. Oh, you are raising your vibration, you are coming to a higher version of yourself. You're much more aware, much more conscious, much more in tune with yourself, much more the ability to manifest and so forth. So there was a long time this glorification of spirituality, I feel. And that is just one perspective. And we are more so now, not glorifying the void, that's not what I want to say, but balancing it. Also, spirituality has a duality in nature that we came here on earth to experience. And actually, then the ultimate goal is to transcend duality into oneness and see neither the glorification of one extreme is better than the other. But the void, why I also talk about tower moments, the void and the darkness first, because we are collectively in this more darker phase, I would say, and dark without judgment. It's just like it is what it is, because we are here to be reborn as humanity, or humanity consciousness has chosen to be reborn through us back into remembrance, what it means to be much more in alignment and in tune with what our true nature is, especially for us, more tangible love, compassion, oneness, cooperation, and to be reborn collectively, each one of us, some more conscious and more intense maybe than others, because they've chosen that path of helping humanity raise consciousness and being birthed through us. We have to go through the womb of the cosmos, so to say, and that is a void. That is the void. It's the womb of the cosmos for us to be reborn. And it gets so difficult or complicated from a human perspective or standpoint because we have this ego as part of this game that thinks in terms of labels and thinks in terms of I have to do something about it. I have to change. In spiritual terms, I know that from myself. Sometimes if the outer world doesn't reflect what I feel I have already shifted, I'm questioning myself. What is there still out of alignment in myself for the other side, the outer world, to reflect what I already see so much and feel so much inside of me? And sometimes it's just the universe saying, stay there. Shifting happens around and in behind the scenes, so to say, even when you're aligned. And also here I can just again say, sometimes we have this image of, especially in the beginning of spiritual journey, especially with manifestation, I come to that always and again, to these manifestation techniques and just do this and then you get this. It is not that case, at least not from my experience. You can be aligned and devoted to your path and still not get the results from outside. Why? Because the outside also has to organize itself. If you are here vibrating here and all the humanity is still here, they have to somehow slowly catch up to your state of being. And that can be painful too. So sometimes even we may think why I'm in the void when I have already done so much. Sometimes it's not only the preparation for you, but also the preparation work that needs to be done by others. We are all interconnected. We are all interconnected. The grid of our soul as a soul level, on a soul level, the grid of consciousness that connects us and then fragments down into our bodies. Yes, and the void, so to say, is that space where you are prepared and everything around you is prepared. The whole point of it also in these times is to recalibrate in a way, to reprogram. Usually the human is like, I just do what is necessary to do, because if I don't have to do it, why should I do it? Yeah, some are maybe a little bit more in terms of, okay, I want to take initiative, I want to take my responsibility for myself, yeah. But most people, are still more in a like, okay, yeah, I live in my tiny world. I don't have to change anything. So why should I if I'm not forced to? So tower moments, what we had last time also, are these forced initiations into something has to change. And then the cocooning, vacuum, void, womb state is that what comes to make the preparation. So the tower moment is this portal into initiation, into something has to change, something has to shift. And then you journey into the void and you find, first of all, nothing in a way. And you probably feel quite disconnected, disoriented. Things that have been working for a long time for you don't work anymore. You feel maybe even be abandoned by life itself, by the divine. You feel a lot of resistance, usually a lot of also anger, because you want to change something, but no matter what you do, nothing changes. That's at least what I also feel from experience. It shows in anger, in frustration, in sadness, in emotional turmoil, because also we have oftentimes interwoven in it the Kundalini process. If you are already on that stage, that purging happens. So the womb, the cosmic womb, the void, is that preparation for your system to be reborn in a higher version of yourself, like that cocoon we have in the journey of the butterfly. And in a way, what all these emotions that come up and the frustration, the anger, that's not your soul. Because if we personified your soul and would ask your soul, hey, what do you think about the void? Probably it would say like, yes, finally, I can shed more layers that I'm not truly what I am. I can shed more of all the distortions and the outdated things that actually don't define me, don't serve me, don't really let me live a higher vibe life, so to say. So the soul would actually celebrate. But our human self is covered, is shadowed by the ego, by the construct of this is my identity, this is what makes me up. I mean, this is what the labels that constitute my identity, including what I do, what is my job, which friends I have, what my habits are, what my belief system is. And this is so deeply ingrained into our whole being that there needs to be a cutting disruption to actually loosen that grid of identification. And the womb is a cosmic intervention, divine intervention in a way, also as a threat from the tower moments, that this disruption happens. It is disorientating and in a way, feeling disconnected on purpose. Because without disorientating or disorientation, you wouldn't be forced to find new ways how to get from A to B, so to say. So you need, or our system needs, disorientation and disconnection to get a new orientation and a reconnection in a higher version. So you can also say, like, it is a reset, a reboot of our system. Like when we have a computer, a new computer, or maybe an old computer, and we want to, have a new operating system on it. We have somehow to shed the old to install the new, and the void gives us a protective, safe space to do this reprogramming. Because usually what happens in the void is also you will be much more drawn inside, internal reflection, journaling, being on your own, being in nature, being in solitude, maybe doing less, being more in your own sacred space to feel yourself again, to also say stop and no to much more, so you can focus on your own energy and feel this reconnection. This disruption is also to reconnect yourself with yourself, to reconnect your limited perspective on yourself to expand it even into the greatness of what you truly are. Limitless potential, limitless consciousness. And usually this void state also, because what you maybe already see from what I share is we can look we can look at the void from different perspectives. From the ego human limited view, it is something we want to get rid of, we want to get out of. We feel imprisoned, we feel kept, we feel we have no real choice, we feel we are helpless, hopeless, abandoned. That's the view of the little I, the little limited ego identified I. On the other hand, we have our soul, or even the consciousness living through us, seeing it as a huge portal, a huge initiation into a rebirth of who you truly are, or at least a next version, because void states can happen multiple times over across our life. But what I sense also is during this time of our human evolution, a lot of people have a big void to then transition out of it, especially this time frame between 2022 and 2032, like in a way 12 years. In a way, this is kind of like a huge portal of a lot of souls transitioning from more restricted matrix life into a more liberated, ascended version of themselves. So this perspective from consciousness, from soul, from non-judgment is just one phase of our life. Shedding and inviting, more so shedding actually. And so the void state, when we perceive it as a human being, has usually, I would say, like an arc, like a 3-phase arc, where at the beginning we are rebellious, we want to get out of it, we want to change something. I mean, even this not being able to change something, this perception is really devastating for us as this. Usually we want to do something, even for the spiritual self or spiritual ego. I want to change something, shift something, I want to manifest, but nothing works, or not in the same way it used to be. So there's the resistant phase, and then you're like, okay, nothing works. The only thing I can do is surrender. I can just do like, okay, I have no idea. I've maybe even tried a lot of things to get out of it. But I acknowledge in this incarnation, in this incarnated form, I'm limited. Yes, we have all of consciousness inside of us, but we have this wheel of forgetting that limits us in our perception. And that we have to acknowledge and say, okay, from this limited perception, I don't know what it is, and I have no idea how to come out, and I don't know, please guide me through it. So this is the turning point in the phases through the void, surrendering. It is what it is. I feel what I feel. Yes, I feel angry. Yes, I feel frustrated. Yes, I feel, the acknowledgement of your own feelings also, because sometimes we can also be very harsh to us, to like, I shouldn't feel like this. I should be further. I should be whatever. To acknowledge yourself, to have compassion with yourself. And say, okay, divine, universe, God, I have no idea. Please guide me through this. And then the surrendering happens in a way of, sometimes you receive grace. You receive grace in the form of maybe peace inside of you, finally peace. You have rebelled a lot. The ego has rebelled a lot, and that costs energy. This costs energy, and sometimes your nervous system is also at the edge, at the limit. Maybe your immune system is at the limit. You get maybe even sick from it. Yeah, the body rebels sometimes with you, because you're really meant to rest more, to stop circulating in your old patterns, both mind and actions. And surrendering brings more peace. It is in a way, also the beginning of saying, okay, I work with the divine plan instead of trying to control it. The rebellion was control. I want to change something. Second phase is surrendering, working with what is, and tuning into higher consciousness, into your soul, into your higher self. What is it what I have to learn right now? And maybe it's just to sit with what is. And then you get guidance. To learn again, we get guidance in the nothingness, in the perceived nothingness. We get guidance, we receive guidance because we have been, the humanity, the collective in general, has been deconditioned from trusting our higher self, trusting our soul, trusting the divine plan, trusting divine timing, if that is, yeah, that's another topic. I have also a podcast episode already recorded about this if you're interested in that, the power of now versus divine timing. So there's a, yeah, fine line between that. But anyways, it's in a way of you saying again yes to your intuition and into being guided or letting yourself be guided through you. Because to be honest, from my own experience, sometimes much more is being revealed and birthed through me when I'm in a state of, okay, show me. I'm open. I'm working with you. I'm not even trying to. Sometimes we need that state of inner peace and rest, and not as a resignation of, okay, I have tried everything, now let me receive the answers. That's also kind of like a more like a little child, inner child of saying like, I want to play now, so let me play. So then also we breathe again to let it just run through you. And that is something what we are learning again, to let consciousness manifest through us and not have this filter on us like, I am manifesting this, I am doing this, I'm doing this. Like, you can do your vision boards and everything. Everything is perfectly fine also as all these tools and methods that exist. But actually, all is already here, and you just have to open your channel and receive. And sometimes, what your limited self, your ego self wants to manifest is not even what your soul wants to manifest, is not what consciousness wants to manifest through you. Because it is not us that manifests, it's consciousness through us. But whole different topic. It's just interconnected. And sometimes, as you know or perceive, I get very fiery about this topic of manifestation because it is more so an honor of letting it manifest through us instead of saying I have manifested it, because this is our ego actually. So we have transitioned from rebellion into surrendering. And then in the surrendering stage, we have a lot of internal shifts also, and really also a lot is working. Our body is working with us, and we can sometimes just even say, okay, do what has to be done here. I don't know. Yeah, our body has, I also mentioned that last time in the Tower Moment Satsang episode. Our body has to adjust to our higher frequency. In the void states, our frequency is shifted, is aligned when we work with it. Yeah, because we're shedding old and inviting you in. Our frequency shifts and our physical body has to hold that higher frequency, so it has to work with us. Our whole system is renewing. And then we sometimes even see the beauty of it. We can say, okay, I acknowledge it's painful, it's frustrating, it's not really what I want right now, but I see it's helping me, it's bringing something new into my life, it's having a purpose. To at some point even get to the point to acknowledge it, honor it, and be grateful for it. Maybe also when we tune or help ourselves by tuning into what's ahead, because we get glimpses of what's coming next, what's coming after that phase. And then also there's a phase of, after surrendering, a phase of pure potential. Because the void from the limited perspective, the dense, dark perspective is, I'm lost in nothingness. The other side of that dual space is the total vastness, the quantum field. The void is also the quantum field of all possibilities, where maybe a magician character or like a fairy character inside of you is activated and say like, I can create now everything from it. I've been thrown into the void, and here at first I thought, maybe I'm totally disconnected. I feel nothing. I feel like in a complete dark room, left alone. And now that can switch at some point to, wow, total awe, curiosity. What can I do? What can I be, actually? It's not so much of this is my rigid identity, but playing with it. Like, who can I be? Who do I want to be? Who wants my soul? Like, who do I want to experience? What wanted my soul to experience? Is more the conscious using of shaping your identity and reality by tapping into the quantum field and drawing that timeline in that you want to live in reality. And actually, I feel that is most oftentimes even predestined in a way, or prescribed, if you want to say. Usually what we really have a soul longing for, that's in a way we can say our destiny. It's destined. How it is in detail, that's still up to negotiation between soul consciousness and reality itself and human collective consciousness, maybe. But the rough timeline is, in a way, I feel, already more or less set in stone. And often we have this knowing, I know this is destined for me to experience. Because your soul signed a contract, so to say, figuratively, to make that experience. Or consciousness wanted to make this experience through you. And then the void becomes a playground, we can say. A playground for you to explore what identity and reality you want to explore or birth with you, through you. That's kind of like the third stage: rebellion, surrendering, and being in awe and curiosity to play again. What sometimes can tap into this when it has shifted to the light side, to curiosity, sometimes it can backfire a little bit when you are too much already in the future thinking and the orchestration hasn't happened yet, so hasn't really landed for you to land. So I feel oftentimes the surrounding around you, all the other people that have to be in place, maybe the environment you have to be in, or the experiences you have to first go through to become that version of you who can actually receive all of what you want. If you're too much in this future thinking already, sometimes frustration kicks in again. And then you can, imagine sometimes we circle back and forth. So it's not a linear process in a way, the three phases, but more so a ping pong back and forth. And what it makes easier is to shed layers of your ego. The more ego is in place, the more it will feel painful, the more it feel like a abandonment, punishment. And that is all valid and all sometimes also something that wants to be felt. It's nothing to be pushed away. To say, okay, this is now somehow that needs to be felt, so feel it. And then let it go. Feel it and let it go. I feel sometimes even like with the ego, I also recorded a podcast episode and thought about it. Sometimes the ego is so shamed in spirituality. But the ego lets us have this experience as a separate self to then rediscover we are one with everything. And also to have as a soul that experience, okay, I'm a separate being, but also I'm oneness. So to switch between perspective, and there the ego is kind of needed. So don't shame it away, don't blame it, but feel through the things and then switch on your awareness I'm acting in my ego, I can step consciously out of it and be free from pain and suffering in that vastness. That, yeah, suffering comes from resistance, from being stuck in ego, from cycling through old stories, from clinging too much to what is actually not serving you anymore. And the ego, our limited self, has not the capacity of seeing what the divine has actually planned for you. Yeah. Sometimes we think like, oh, I see this timeline and this is already so exciting and so high level. But maybe there's even something even more exquisite, expensive that the universe actually has for you. And oftentimes I've been proven expect the unexpected. Expect the unexpected. That is actually the phrase we can use. And also a phrase I oftentimes repeated for myself in phases like this, because I usually am someone who wants to dig deep, to decipher, to decode, to read the signs, to understand. And I guess a lot of you too. We want to understand, why is it happening? What do I have to shift? What for? What is coming next? All these. But then to say, okay, right now I don't know. From my limited self, I don't know, and I don't have to know, and that's okay. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have to know right now, and when it's time, I will know. That's a, yeah, maybe a mantra even you can note down for yourself in moments like this when we feel lost, when we just feel lost in this womb space of the cosmos. In all cases, the void is always that in between stage, like I framed between the timelines, and a necessary step for reprogram, reconfiguration, for alignment, for also taking a pause, a rest, and collectively just something very, very common. So you are also here, not alone. You're not lost. You're somewhere in the nowhere, in the everythingness. So collectively, we can birth this new earth, which is actually already existing, has already existed. It's just that we are calibrated to tune into that frequency of that new earth. It's already here. It has always been here. It's just we are recalibrated to perceive that, to perceive it, and to journey on that timeline. Yes, that's the void. And the void state has, in a way, no ending, no beginning, we can say. It is what it is. And that's also what we have to make peace with. Sometimes we're in this, okay, I understand now the void. I know this is this has the purpose, and this is a kind of safe space for me to prepare for my next level version. And yeah, all this mental understanding and maybe even the deeper surrendering from our body mind system. But the prolonged state of void sometimes triggers again rebellion. Rebellion of, why is it taking so long? Why is it not the other things around me that has to be in place? Maybe why is it not accelerated? Why, what for? And then again a cycle of surrendering happens, or needs to happen, to not feel in this pain and surrendering. And sometimes that's also actually a, a space to be in for you to just allow yourself what you maybe always wanted to do, to just read a book, to just start a new hobby, to just play an instrument, to meet more your friends, whatever it is. To give yourself a permission to allow yourself something that you actually wanted always to do but have never done because of XYZ. What we are also learning in this void state is, in essence, to follow our joy, to follow again our deepest longing and purpose, and not let us say like, you have to do this because then you are someone, or then you get good certificates, or then you whatever have a beautiful career, or then you earn a lot of money, or then you are valuable to a system. No. We are deconditioning that. We are reprogramming ourselves to listen deeply to our heart and say no more of that, because we remember we are the divine itself. And divinity doesn't let itself be put into boxes or be said you have to do this, because divinity itself is sovereign. Divinity itself knows intrinsically, not from ego, but from a soul's longing, this is why I came here. This is why I incarnated. This is my mission. This is my purpose. This is what I want to experience. And this void state, also what I at least have the feeling is, and from my own contemplation, from my own self-reflection, is again, this is what I want to experience from my heart, not from my ego. And I don't want to work 24/7. Maybe I want to travel the world. Maybe I want to start my own business. Maybe I want to just share my voice. Maybe I just want to be in service to something. Or maybe I just want to rest and meditate more, or want to be in nature more, or want to build my own house, whatever it is. Yeah, just examples. Whatever it is, to give yourself the allowance and permission to do that. Because we are done with doing. The feminine is descending again. The feminine in all of us is craving to be, to just be and vibrate, and through being, to be invited into inspired doing. So the void is also this restful space where you stop doing, where you stop the whole cycle of I have to do something, I have to be valuable, I have to prove something. I mean, that's not consciously, but under the surface, oftentimes the pattern of the ego, I have to do something to be someone, to be worthy, to be valuable, to be contributing to the system, or even to be someone for my family or friends or whoever, or for me, for myself, to prove myself I am something. No. Stopping doing. It's a being, it's a vibration. We are tuned into vibrating, into raising our vibration and feeling, knowing, sensing, remembering. Through our vibration, we create. We have always created through vibration. But somehow we have been trained, or we've learned that through doing, through a perceived outer result, then we are satisfied. Because sometimes vibration takes a little bit time to manifest in density. Action is quite straightforward. And vibration sometimes needs this momentum, depending also what it is conjuring up into the surface. But it is, yeah, I feel it is very important to understand for us. And sometimes I'm very on fire. That's maybe why also I dressed in red today. To remind ourselves again and again, when we come into this pattern of doing, that especially this void state is also for us to recalibrate that just being and vibrating is enough. It is enough. Because actually, when we even want to be of purpose for humanity, raising our vibration has much more purpose than, I don't know, working in a 24/7 job that doesn't even fulfill you. Raising your vibration is much more valuable for, maybe not for the society in a political framework, but much more for humanity. And what I have also thought about is, because some then argue like, oh yeah, but I have to survive and whatever. Yes, but in the long run, the divine never abandons itself. So it can be that you are compressed into, okay, I lose this. Yeah, the void state is a lot of loss also. My internal and external losses. But at some point you have to realize That's what I realized, at least. The divine cannot abandon yourself because you are the divine. You are the divine. So the divine cannot abandon itself. And if you experience all of this, then it has been kind of like an agreement to experience that. And that is kind of like make peace with it. And at some point, the wheel will be turning for you to receive what is yours already. But where you at some point have to hold the arms open. And the receiving is also a big, huge topic. We are learning again to receive without, without feeling the need to give back immediately, without feeling that our ego is somehow nurtured, because there's a receiving that is pure. That is pure. And in the void state, we are also reprogrammed into receiving with ease. Because after the void, to actually receive that what you want after the void, your butterfly, what you want to live as a butterfly, yeah. For that to receive, you need to open your system into receptivity. Because if something inside of you is still blocked, is still holding on to something, do I deserve this? Or yeah, there's one little voice of, yeah, I want this, but another voice like, I don't know really if I am worthy of this, or maybe I have to do first this or shift this first. It's a discrepancy, it's a mismatch. You have to align your frequency into, yes, I'm ready. Because I know I deserve it. I know I'm the divine. I deserve the best of everything. Not from ego, but from soul. That's a difference. Because we have also been trained, even in spiritual terms, like you are maybe not allowed, or like some at least have this concept of belief I'm not allowed to receive what I actually want because it's maybe egoistic. But if you go back to your soul and think like, actually I incarnated to experience what it is to be very abundant in all areas of life, or have a very wealthy lifestyle. Yeah, this is always, I feel like, still the mismatch between wealth and spirituality. And I'm very much a fan of luxurious spirituality. And I think even I have a podcast episode about luxurious spirituality, which is for me like, indulge in all of it, but don't get attached to it. That's the problem. Attachment, not per se the material life. So the void, a huge transformational portal space where you are reprogrammed, recalibrated, first of all actually reset to base frequency, letting go, to then invite that in, to be going through the portal to the other portal end of the void. Like if you have the tower moments in the beginning, then the void state, and then out of it we have a next portal. Yeah, I know it can be, from a human perspective, this void can be very, very challenging. Very challenging. And especially if you are someone who is spiritually on that path already, has been on that path for a long time, is very much aware of all the shifts collectively, is very much also dedicated to that path, and has been, from a soul level, volunteered to be on the forefront of this movement. It can be very, very frustrating if you're already vibrating somewhere and around you nothing really seems to shift, or slow is too slow for you, because you're like already like, oh, I want to start playing the new game, new life, or in new earth game. But everyone is still like, okay, slowly, tower moments, getting in the void, still, like I said last time, washing machine still going on. To be cleaned of all what is not truly us, not truly aligned again with us, what we want to experience collectively. And you're still like, I want to play, I want out of this void state. And that can be challenging. Just from my own experience, sometimes I'm like, I already see everything, but a lot of people are still here. So I have to be compassionate. I have to be patient in a way from a human perspective. And then slowly, people and events, experiences will align themselves to match that. But that is interwoven into the cosmos. That is interwoven into the cosmos. So if you're already here and see like, okay, I've already transitioned all through all stages, I've surrendered, I've even found some joy in the void, I've even seen all the potentials and possibilities I've been given, at some point there comes an exhaustion, maybe even, and then you're allowed to say, okay, I don't know, I'm just now here still circulating in this void, and at some point I trust it's moving, and it will move. And I'm pretty much sure in the next 2 years especially, and yeah, in a yeah, astrological way also, a lot say until 2032, a lot of this void state and yeah, shedding is and rebirthing is taking place. Also, last time I mentioned we have now 2025, which is the 9. Yeah, 2 and 5 is equals 9. So it's the last one-digit number, which is always about endings, letting goes, like what is truly, yeah, what can truly go out of your life and in the collective. And then next year is much more a year of beginnings, because it's the 10 or the 1. It's a completion, maybe like final completion, first beginnings, like the sprouts of what you have sown over years coming slowly out of the ground. And then afterwards to really start playing again, because our little inner child maybe in this void state is like, I don't know. It's dark, it's light, I don't know. But I want to play. I want to play. And playfulness is a big topic also. I'm contemplating for each and everyone who has cycled a lot in spirituality, has cycled a lot of lifetimes, has an old soul, I can say, is an old soul. Yes. So this is, yeah, I'm seeing here, if you have a question, of course, you can ask in the chat. You can ask in the chat if you have a question. Of course, if you wish. Because this shall be interactive. I'm broadcasting, I'm channeling, and I'm giving out. But if you have a question, more than welcome to put this in the chat box. Also to mention, if you're going through multiple void states, each void, some may be perceived quite small, but as I mentioned, I feel like a lot of people are just in a very big, huge void. If you have multiple ones, or also within one big one where you cycle, each time you surrender, you will get closer to your true essence. You will have revelations, and remembrance is triggered. Yeah. The question, how do I know when the void closes? Happiness in question? That's a very, very valid and very, very good question, because I feel all of us will ask that. How do I know when the void closes? And from my perspective, you cannot really know it. You will feel a perceived sense of peace, alignment, maybe happiness, fulfillment in a way, but I feel fulfillment negates in a little bit the void from a human perspective. I mean, you can be fulfilled in each moment. Yeah, you can say like, when I just tap into this very moment, the essence of the now is always pure and divine, and all is here. We just get out of happiness and fulfillment when we are getting in stories in the past or future, or in anticipation, in imagination, in emotions and thoughts. And the void closes, I would say, once you are internally stable enough to hold your new frequency, to not collapse. Collapsing is when, for example, your nervous system goes in direction A or B. Yeah, you freeze, you flight, you rebel, you have extremes of emotions. Extremes of emotions, if you're still in there, it's still not the end. Because your system needs a stability to hold your new frequency. As I said, the whole body is calibrating. And for me personally, also, I experience that in terms of vibration, of sometimes if I have a remembrance or a reclamation of, okay, this is actually my essence and this is a distorted or conditioned thing onto me, that my body releases through shaking, for example, or through crying, like letting go. This is still part of the void. And closing much more happens when you both feel internally aligned and you have glimpses slowly from outside. It feels much more stable, much more in the way of, well, I can say alignment, stability, perceived alignment also. If still chaos is around you, sometimes it's kind of like a little bit like a test. If still chaos is around you, and you can nevertheless still stand still and see like, okay, I'm aligned in my center. That's already as an indication that you have stabilized your own system. Because what I noticed from my experience, it seems like when I have stabilized, sometimes around everything seems clashing, because it feels like there has to be a, like, I can only describe it even in this movement. There is kind of like this turbulence around you, like a vortex momentum that builds up, and then it crashes to really be away. I mean, it's kind of like witnessing, observing your own old timelines and distortion in the outside, and then crashing down. At least that was in my perspective. So, and still there is even like a question when I'm in the void or out of the void. It's like a fresh breath. You can breathe again. You feel like, ah, finally. Sometimes even like, what was this? What did I go through? Why did I even need this? Sometimes you see yourself even from a much different perspective, because you have anchored your new frequency. No collapsing. No collapsing. Because I feel in the end stages of the void, it's a lot about, I mean, you have already made peace with it, you have surrendered more and again and again, you have laid down your ego constructs, and you have also reclaimed, and part of the void state is even like reclaiming lost soul aspects, maybe even past life things, multidimensional aspects, to discover your multidimensional self in this safe container. Because what this safe container is also, it allows us to be undisturbed from disturbing energies. Yeah. I mean, if you're open, if your system is open, nevertheless, you can get influence from energies, disturbing energies. But usually it's a safe space for you to come back, to root down, to anchor more in your own pure energy. That's the whole calibration about, to anchor in your own pure energy, and from that vibrate, emit, transmit, and create, and just be. Yeah, so when does the void close? I think even it's not really a closure, it's more an evaporation. It's not like, okay, this is now closed and you enter the next state of your being or the next phase. It's more so a slowly it goes away, it fades away, it fades away out of our consciousness. It's kind of like maybe even still existent, but you are not entangled in it anymore. You are stepping out of it. And you can even, if it's already in a further state ahead, you can even declare, I'm done with it now. Let me now live my next timeline. I'm done with it. You have an inner feeling of another rebellion, maybe, but a fiery one of not from ego, more so of this is my right now. I have done my part. I've done my work. I've shifted internally. I've aligned enough. I've whatever. Now, please, I'm ready. Yeah, this is sometimes I feel something we have to go through as a rage of reclamation, yeah, rage of reclamation, because anger and rage is a huge catalyst. Usually, rage and anger, I mean, rage is like a hated form of anger, show us clearly something is still not in alignment. It's out of alignment. And this can be an ultimate catalyst for your being to emit a frequency, I'm ready now. Because sometimes I feel the divine orchestration, yes, it's one part, but sometimes it feels like stated clearly, you are ready and you will be given. But if it's not coming, still something seems internally not stable enough to hold that new frequency, to hold that new timeline. Easiest example is with money, actually. When you are, when you want to manifest, attract more wealth in form of money, your system has to be ready to hold that frequency. Money is energy, is a frequency. More money is a higher frequency, we can kind of like say. And for that, your belief systems have to match. Your way of thinking, your way of habits, everything kind of has to match that. And then we come into this big field of identity shifting and soul alignment, what I'm talking about a lot. Calibrating yourself consciously. Yeah. Yes, thank you so much for this question. I wouldn't even say happiness or fulfillment as an ultimate ending point, because we have fluctuations always in happiness. We can also be happy in the void. We can also tune into fulfillment in the void, because in the void we have nothing and everything in a way. And sometimes we are also happy because we have maybe time for things we couldn't do before. Yeah. All right. With that, we kind of like also even have like our journey is not closed, and I already have in mind the next topics for the Love Satsang in 2 weeks, most probably. It resonates with me a lot to do it every 2 weeks on Sunday, and to journey through that, to the topics we are going through it collectively and individually, of course, to navigate that with more ease, more grace, more understanding, and a lot more compassion with ourselves, to not be so harsh on us, because we always do our best. And with that, I thank you so much for your participation in this whole cosmic dance, to have your place here as a puzzle piece in the whole puzzle. And maybe also to remember, if you're watching this, I know that you have taken responsibility for yourself to raise this consciousness, not your own only, but the whole, that we are interconnected, that we remember that we are not alone, although this void can feel so lonely, that we are never truly alone, that a lot of people, sometimes I imagine these like little black holes in the universe, where in each hole a small little eye is sitting in the void. And at some point, all these bubbles, these black bubbles, like soap bubbles,